views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough as well as across New York City. Coming up on today's show, we go front and center, learning about a virtual AIDS walk and what people can expect from the event. And then afterwards, we'll discuss how one organization is actually pioneering effective programs fighting poverty as well as systemic inequality. And then we'll talk about how one center is providing education to children with developmental delays. And then finally, we'll speak to a representative from Autism Speaks about how the organization is giving assistance to individuals with autism as well as their families. So we want you to stay with us because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, a show that opens the Bronx and New York City straight to you. And we want to welcome our viewers who are watching on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. We also invite you to stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and of course, our station's website at bronxnet.org. And there you can find out about this show, as well as all the other programs that BronxNet has to offer. Well, a lot has been going on through the course of the past week, but we'll take you through a couple of things with our Bronx updates. Well, we start off with city news. New York City officials announcing that alternate side of the street will be fully restored beginning on July the 5th. Now, sanitation officials touted the move as part of an $11 million investment in the street cleaning. Officials actually say that the enforcing full alternate side of street parking rules will help bring streets back to their full cleanliness. Now, for as far as tenants and car owners, they say, listen, they grew up used to alternate side of the street parking rules only being enforced as a matter of sustainability. Now, the city's new appointed sanitation commissioner, Jessica Tisch, cast the street cleaning efforts as a matter of sustainability herself, saying, quote, environmental justice begins at the street level, and clean streets are vital to vibrant neighborhoods as well as our city's economic recovery. In other news, 2 weeks ago, we had here on Open Wednesday, the Bronx Film 48, who had their filmmaker networking mixer. Our BronxNet reporter, Brittany Schuyler Albane, was there, and she brings us the details right now.
Bronx Film 48 is excited to welcome back their filmmaker networking mixer at the Bronx Start Dream Yard after a 2-year hiatus.
For me, being here was an opportunity to really network and see what's cooking in the Bronx, all these beautiful stories.
The mixer gave creatives and aspiring filmmakers the opportunity to network with industry leaders and award-winning artists. This year's all-female panel included actress Athena Colon, who's been featured in New Amsterdam and Law & Order SVU, and the creator of Bronxish, Danielle Alonso. Topics range from networking tips to what it's like being a female in a male-dominated industry.
I think it's so important to have a space for Bronx artists to come showcase their work and just align with other creators.
Colon looked back on her career and how she was given limited options as an actress, which could potentially place her in a compromising position. She emphasized just how important it is to take the formality out of networking and focus on building relationships with those around you for a strong and exciting career.
It's a team sport, filmmaking, and being able to build relationships, you know that if you need anything, you can at least reach out to somebody who at least can either help you or get you to someone who might be able to help you.
During the panel discussion, Alonso mentioned the importance of staying true to yourself and never compromising your values, because being yourself is going to open many doors for you.
Sometimes just trust your gut and just like see who kind of like lines up for you.
Bronx Film 48 was established in 2019 when the founders Ayades Perez and Edwin Torres met through a separate networking event. From there, they realized the power of networking and built their own organization, which offers networking events, film challenges, and workshops for aspiring creatives throughout the city.
We all hung out and then decided to join forces and create the Bronx Film 48 that exists today. Don't be afraid to talk to that person that you really want to talk to, shake their hand, and introduce yourself.
To keep up with all of the exciting events happening, follow BX Film 48 on Instagram. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler Albane.
And thank you, Brittany. And looks like a great time was had there. Want to let you know we are out of time for our Bronx updates, but we want you to stay with us because guess what? Open continues. We got a good show coming up right after this. And welcome back to the show. As the summer is now soon approaching, people are now having the opportunity to spend time outdoors after the COVID hiatus. However, for Bronx folks with mobility issues, there's a special virtual AIDS walk that's taking place that's being hosted by SelectHealth, supporting a good cause and getting people up on their feet. And joining us now and sharing a little bit more of the details, we're pleased to have Community Outreach Manager Hondo Martinez, as well as Community Events Assistant Daniel Hope from SelectHealth from VNSNY Choice Health Plans. And Hondo, I guess I'll begin with you. And this is a great opportunity, if you will, for the community to really come out and to take part in this special event.
Thanks, Daren. Yeah, AIDS Walk is back this year in Central Park, which is great. And teams from SelectHealth and VNSNY Choice Health Plans will be there in person on May 15th. To support the community, our team, and the larger community who wants to participate, which is for everyone, whether they're homebound, whether they have issues with transportation, or maybe they're just not ready for big crowds yet. SelectHealth is hosting a virtual AIDS Walk on May 11th, which is a Wednesday at 10 a.m.
And Daniel, for those people who want to know how this walk is actually going to take place, share with us a little bit about what we can expect in this event.
Okay, hi Daren. So the AIDS Walk, as Hondo said, the virtual AIDS Walk will be on May 11th, and it's going to be hosted by Tommy Mickens. It will be held from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it will be through our regular Zoom. It's going to be really fun. Everyone really loves Tommy Mickens. It's going to be for all skill levels. So it's if you are a beginner or if you are a fitness aficionado, everyone is welcome. Seniors, young people, we really want to, mix it up because we don't want to limit it to only one specific demographic. And in all, it's just going to be a great way to show support for loved ones living with HIV and AIDS. We really intend to destigmatize this community.
And so share with us a little bit more, because I do know that Select Health is the ones that are responsible for actually hosting this virtual AIDS walk. Some of our viewers may not be so familiar with Select Health, so give us a little insight.
So, Select Health is a specialized Medicaid plan. It focuses on the transgender, the homeless, and the HIV positive community. We go out to all parts of New York City, whether it's the Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, or Queens, and we look for people who are part of these communities, and we try to offer as much help as we can. Uh, we do special events such as, collaborating, with City Relief. We may do events such as this for GMHC, and we also do pride walks and pride parades. So we really cover a lot of stuff in the New York City area. We really do hope all of our viewers are able to, encounter us at one point in time this summer.
Hondo, break this down for us a little bit. I talked a little bit about this being an event coming after the COVID pandemic. We're still in it, of course. We're still trying to navigate ourselves through it. I know that there are a lot of groups of people, particularly seniors and others, who've gone through the season where it's really been rough, staying indoors and really trying to navigate. But talk about the event and the opportunity right now for somebody to get themselves going, because we know that a lot of us have gone through that whole isolation game.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is we're trying to get everyone to feel included, right? We want to encourage everybody to speak to a doctor first and make sure that, it's just okay that they're doing this exercise. Everyone can go at their own pace. That's the one thing that's great about Tommy's exercise program. He makes everyone feel good, and he acknowledges where they're at and doesn't make them feel that they're alienated. So that's one of the great things about it. And that choice we offer Select Health, it's just about making sure that everybody could join, everybody could get involved in the annual walk, whether they come in person or they're virtual or wherever it may be that they're at, whether it's at home, whether it's at, somebody else's house, and just feel that everything is around inclusion. I think that's what's most important. Anyone can participate, whether they're a Select Health member or not.
Yeah, you use the word inclusion. I'm gonna bring Daniel in and talk about this, because I also understand that you guys will be included in the New York City AIDS Walk coming up in Central Park.
Yes, we will be a supporting sponsor for GMHC's event in Central Park. So the event is going to be on Sunday, May 15th. We're proud to support this annual event that raises funds and brings awareness to HIV and AIDS. We're also proud to celebrate with our neighbors across the city. So we really do invite everyone to come out and have fun. VNSNY does have deep roots inside this community. For decades now, we have been on the front lines fighting this stigma, and we really intend to bring it back to light and get everyone together so that we can fight it. Our clinicians have worked on the front lines for decades and decades, and we really do hope that everyone is able to support us, get involved, and have fun.
Yeah. So let's go back to this particular AIDS walk, and how do people get signed up, and what is the deadline for people who want to be able to register?
So everyone can sign up on our site. So you can either go to our Select Health website or our VNSNY Choice website. You are also welcome to search up our wonderful team on the AIDS Walk website, the official AIDS Walk website, and you search in Select Health from VNSNY. Once you search that up, all you have to do is click Join Team, and you will be able to join our team.
Yeah. And Hondo, what does it mean for, I think, just being able to be outdoors now? Because when we talk about what we've dealt with, to be outdoors at a time like this, and of course, the weather's still fluctuating, but the fact is we can still be outdoors.
I think it's great. I think it addresses some of the COVID fatigue we hear about, right? People are just kind of tired of being home and being isolated and the mask and all of that stuff. But I think it gives them an opportunity to to come together, right, and see people and socialize and feel like they are a part of something bigger again, part of a community, and just connected with the overall society. I think that this is a great opportunity to do that. And of course, it's supporting a great cause for those who are either infected or are affected by the HIV epidemic.
Well, Daniel and Hondo, I want to thank you guys so much for being with us here on the show. Best wishes for the walk, and best wishes that you also go to Central Park as well. But want to thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you, Daren.
Thank you, Daren. Thank you. Appreciate
All righty.
it.
Yep. Well, we want to let our viewers know too. Listen, if you want more information, don't hesitate to visit the website at VNSNYchoice.org. And of course, you can get all the information on the walk and then some right there. We are taking a quick break. We encourage you, don't go anywhere because Open continues coming up right after this. And welcome back to the show. For 135 years, University Settlement has collaborated with the community, pioneering highly effective programs fighting poverty as well as systemic inequality. Now, the organization infuses a commitment to civic engagement, equity, and communal action in each of its programs. And we're pleased to have joining with us here on the show the Associate Executive Director of Mental Health and Wellness at University Settlement, Mary Adams. And Mary, thank you for being with us. And for your organization, it's a long-standing commitment to really addressing some of the greatest ills that affect our society.
Thank you for having me, Daren. We appreciate being able to come on and speak about University Settlement and the work that we're doing in the community.
And as we talk about the work that you're doing in the community, I know that really dealing with the issue of poverty, and then I'll talk a little bit about mental health and wellness, but maybe I didn't do a good enough justice, but give us a little bit more of a background into University Settlement.
Well, Daren, as you said, we have been around a long time. We were established in 1886 on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and we're the first settlement house in the United States. We bring the values of the settlement house movement forward to the 21st century, really through fighting poverty and systemic inequality. That means really responding to the needs of the community and advocating for those needs with the community. Our services really then span all ages, from newborns to older adults, and have gradually grown a comprehensive menu of services, again, out of the needs of that community, that include providing food, education, cultural activities, learning and literacy, and of course, mental health services.
Yeah. You talk about providing food. I know that coming out of this pandemic, a lot of New Yorkers really had to deal with the issue of food insecurity. Talk to us about how that worked out for you in terms of being able to deal with food during a time like this.
That was really quite a challenge in the beginning because of manpower, but University Settlement has historically really drawn a lot of our staffing from the community. And so that gave us a pathway to having staff and people available to increase the ability to get food out to vulnerable community members. And we did increase our food and our Meals on Wheels programs and food for the elderly, and we're able to really meet the needs in the communities where we are serving.
Yeah. Mental health is a big challenge for so many people, mental wellness, and having the services out there to be able to deal with such. Can you unpack for us a little bit about the services that you provide and how it's been so instrumental in the community?
More than 65 years ago, university identified a need for mental health services when people were coming back and returning from World War II and were showing up different and looking differently. And we opened our first mental health clinic on the Lower East Side to help the members of our communities that were serving with shell shock, better known as PTSD today. Over the years, we have really grown a continuum of mental health services that fits our community's needs. So again, bridges children, adults, individuals, and full families. And continuously, we've identified gaps in services and aimed to fill those gaps with customized services or giving us the ability to customize services. Often people don't need therapy as much as they need skill building, ways to manage time or parenting stress. We understand the role that poverty and intergenerational structural racism has played on wearing people down, so that can show up as a mental health problem, but also needs the supports of care coordination. We have a home-based crisis program for children and families that are being impacted more intensely by a child's psychiatric problem. But our goal is to go in and build on the strengths of the family and keep children at home rather than becoming system involved. We recently, in 2019, expanded our menu of services through a New York State Medicaid redesign initiative called Children and Family Treatment Support Services. That gave us new ability to go into the community and serve children and families and be able to bill for those services, something previously unavailable, but then gives us the ability to go in and serve people where they live, where they work, where they feel more comfortable. And again, retrofitting services to meet what they really need. So maybe intervening in a crisis, but not necessarily involving a hospital or a psychiatrist as much as self-regulation and strategies for de-escalating crisis. So that continuum offers us the ability to meet families, children, and individuals where they're at and really customize services.
So when we talk about keeping kids at home, I know that was very much a priority of, crisis intervention, how you could actually keep a child at home through the work that goes on there. Can you give us a little bit more about that? Because I think that so many people underplay the value of that, because when you look at a lot of our children who end up in the system or, finding themselves on the other side, it's sometimes because of a lack of access to services. But here it is that you got a great crisis program that really has that as the aim and the focus. How successful has that been for you?
It's really a game changer being able to build on the strengths of a family and then add in or take away services as they are needed. So a hospital can be the right strategy for a real psychiatric crisis. But often what we understand is that the pressures or the stressors on a family can look very serious. But when we go into those homes and work with those families and the children, there are always enormous strengths and capabilities to build on. Having customized services. So what I mean by that is we do have a home-based crisis program, but they have the capacity to reach back into University Settlement and say, but we also need some individual therapy for this child, in addition to just crisis intervention. And mom needs some positive parenting support, some strategies to manage things in the long term with her children. So that's the ticket here, is being able to first meet with families and understand what the challenges are, and then what the strengths are to offset those. Then integrating the services that can really build on those strengths to work for that particular family. Then there's no need to really take the child out. And that's what you want, is you want the family to be able to work through and work out these problems on their own, because that's a sustainable answer that works for the long term.
Mary, tell me about this. When we talk about where you are as an agency right now, and you talk about the services that you provide, we know that they've been battle tested, right? Because of COVID. And we know that COVID has further elevated people, whether it was food insecurity, the need for counseling, things of that nature. Give us a little insight into your organization, how you've had to navigate throughout the course of the past year, because I am assuming that you've had more cases than ever before. And at the same time, still trying to keep up with staffing and everything else that comes along with running the organization.
Yeah, so the last few years have been very, very complicated. I will say that, and I mentioned before that University Settlement has reached within the community to hire staff, and we have a long track record of then holding on to staff, growing them, and lifting them up and promoting them from within. So we have some very long-term staff here, which means they know the community, they know the families. That gave us a real edge here, because we weren't walking into anything strange. We understood what was happening in our community, and families have a certain level of trust and are able to reach out to us. So this was a huge advantage. The other thing that played in our favor here was we had already applied for and been designated for the additional children and family treatment support services. So we already had these services up and running, which had given us additional capacity. When the pandemic started, we did go into a lot of virtual services, but all of our services remained hybrid, and we went into the community and in person when needed. So I think the flexibility with our continuum of service was an advantage. I think that our history in the community and the trust that we have as a provider was an advantage. And in fact, you're right, we had huge increases in our care coordination program that we operate in New York City, at our mental health clinic, our home-based crisis. All of these programs really had huge increases, which we believe is a good thing, because it means that we're trusted and that we can continue to support these families in their communities.
Yeah, I think it's great, because you have an accessibility to services, which is what a lot of people need. And for yourself, your organization serves about 40,000 people between New York and Brooklyn every year. That's a lot of people. And to have a stable staple, and also someone that's stable in the neighborhood, really means a lot. So for somebody who wants to get connected to some of the services that you have, what's the best way for families and or individuals to get connected to you?
One of the best ways is to go onto our website, which is www.universitysettlement.org, because our website will give you a list of all of the programs. They have contact information, phone numbers, email addresses, and they can also help you weave through what might be the right service for you, and sort of where it's located and how to access that. So that really is our best service. You also can always call our mental health main line, which is 212-453-4522. And we can always help you at that central number get to any of our programs for mental health services and supports.
Yeah. Well, Mary, we have to leave it there, but I want to thank you so much for being with us and sharing. And of course, the great work that you are doing. Over 40,000 New Yorkers between New York City and Brooklyn receiving services from University Settlement. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having us.
All righty. And so if you want more information, don't hesitate to visit the website, as mentioned, universitysettlement.org. And then also, you can also visit them on social media as well. And you can have an opportunity to find out about the great services University Settlement provides. Thanks to Mary. And we want you to stay with us, because guess what? We do have more open coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're returning right after this. And welcome back. The Kennedy Children's Center is dedicated to providing high-quality educational services to young children with developmental delays. Now, the organization serves nearly 400 public preschool students every day while offering vital services for their families that include training, counseling, and access to resources. And joining us now and sharing more details, we've got the Executive Director of Kennedy Children's Center, Jeanne Alter. And Jeanne, thank you so much for being with us.
You are very welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
So, as we talk about your organization, obviously a longstanding organization that has made a difference in the lives of so many people. But as I talk about really being able to assist those with developmental delays, give us a little more insight.
So Kennedy Children's Center has been in the Bronx since 1987, over on Boston Road in 179th. And children with developmental delays are part of the fabric of our community. They're definitely an important part of families, and families need guidance when you have such young children who are exhibiting behaviors and not doing the things that you would expect. So I think it's really important that there's a resource. As we're very cognizant of at Kennedy, which we say a lot, is that being a parent is hard enough. That's a hard adjustment for many of us to make. And when you have a child with special needs, you know, there's so much going on in a family life with young children. It's so busy. And it's important to have a resource that you can get answers from, and that people can help you with that journey and guide you to get the information you need so you make the best decisions possible for your child, because that's what we all want.
Yeah. And when we talk about providing assistance for families during a time like this is extremely critical. We know that as we're navigating through COVID, and again with yet another variant that we're trying to wrestle with, we know that access to services has somewhat been challenging. But I know for service providers, it's been a little bit more complex because either you're shorthanded or the increased demand for services. But talk to us about how you've been able to navigate.
So my first answer is yes, you are correct that we see it on both ends. There's been, unfortunately, like true disruptions to the system in that obviously 2 years in a pandemic, the Birth to Three program, which is early intervention run through the Department of Health, really took a big hit. And the Bronx was underserved to begin with. So you add that on top of that, about 80% of children that end up in preschool programs for children with special needs came out of early intervention programs. So these were already known to the system, if you will. So you have that disruption. There have not been as many evaluators who are available to do the preschool evaluations that are necessary to identify children eligible for service. And the general kind of staff issues that you're hearing that have gone on with our workforce in general. Early childhood has always been in this kind of tightrope position. Early childhood education, despite its critical importance and how much we are learning about it through, neuroscience now, it still is not treated as the same level of education as elementary, secondary, or even higher education. And it's frustrating because without a good foundation, which is what early childhood education is, all other learning kind of gets a little backlogged from that point on. So it's frustrating to have the staffing problems that we've always had in early childhood, always had in special education. And we know that our urban communities are just not as well served as other parts. It's very uneven in the city. And certainly not what it is in the suburbs. So constantly cultivating staff, finding the right staff to be in front of our children has been a challenge forever for us, but certainly complicated by the pandemic.
Yeah. I know that you have a program that's in place really designed to help people become advanced in the educational field if you're an educator, growing teachers. Talk to me about that program and how valuable that's become.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to talk to you about that program. I'm the executive director. I come from a teaching background. I was an early childhood special educator, so there's a lot of passion in me for this work. And from my 30 plus years of working in programs in New York City, both in Brooklyn, Bronx, and Harlem, one thing I know is there are plenty of passionate people out there that care about kids. The ability to get into programs, to get yourself certified to do the work is just complicated, it's expensive, and it doesn't help people who are living in neighborhoods who want to take a step up for themselves and also be part of the community fabric. So our Grow Your Own program really is a program designed to find people in the community for the community. And that's how I really like to talk about it, because the best people to care about young children or any of our students really are people who live in the community. These are our kids. This is our community. And I know from working with so many families and parents over the years and watching teacher assistants and people coming in that there's so much potential in people. And so Grow Your Own is really an opportunity. And right now it's all privately funded. We've not been able to make that leap to public funding, but we're 5 years in and we hope that that's our future, because Grow Your Own programs are gaining momentum around the country, around our state, but nobody really thinks about early childhood. So we are growing our own early childhood teachers by first helping them become teacher assistants. And that's a 6-week training program. And then they can sit for the state test and become a certified teacher assistant. And then they can work anywhere in New York State. They don't have to work for a program like Kennedy, but our training is geared specifically to early childhood special ed. So we try to give like a little boot camp of what it means to work with a young child with autism or a young child with challenging behaviors. And then we help them with the mandated workshops and test prep. And that's all privately funded at no cost to the participant. And for those that are really interested and they're like, wow, what's the next step? We're like, becoming a teacher. That's the next step. And Grow Your Own too. We become kind of like the family around these students. Right now we have 8 women who are in school. They are at the Borough of Manhattan Community College, and they are working on their associates, and we will get them to their bachelors, we will get them to their masters, because there's plenty of people who want to be teachers. We just have to help them along the way.
I know that you spend a lot of time really dealing with, excuse me, your holistic programs that have really been geared towards really meeting the needs of the community. Share with us a little bit more about some of these holistic programs, because I think that if you're a viewer that's out there watching, to have the opportunity to have access to services, and as you mentioned, you're not just in Manhattan, but you're also in the Bronx as well, the opportunity for people to really connect.
Absolutely. So our publicly funded school program provides special education and the related services, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and counseling that are mandated as part of the individual education plan, or IEP. And that's the public funded part of the program, and it's the heart of our program. So just like Grow Your Own is a holistic add-on, if you will, we work very closely with the nutritionist, because we know that healthy eating habits start young. And if we can help families and children, and we have helped thousands of picky eaters along our years, really learn the importance of nutrition and a healthy lifestyle, that's an amazing gift that we can give them for them to take on their entire lives as they raise their children. The other program we offer that's been on hiatus, and it was just such a great program, was a Saturday play program, where we invite a small group of parents with their children, and it's geared towards children with autism, so that we can specifically in a recreational and a Saturday morning. A lot of our parents don't have these, a lot of our kids, I should say, are not children that are going to do well at public playgrounds, and because of either behavior, language, or physical mobility issues. So to have a safe place for children to play together, and then for the parents to just kind of naturally be a support group to each other, kind of that the playground bench, if you will. We've been able to do that in our Saturday play program. And then, so while the kids are playing with our staff, who are the staff that's known to us, so there's obviously a real ability to engage these children, language, behavior, and really know what we're dealing with. We work with the parents, and we do mindfulness training, meditation, we've done yoga, we do nutrition, working with community partners. So it really, it's important that schools, to me, especially in early childhood, you're part of a child's life, you're part of a family's network. And that's really what a school should be. It's always been my vision for a school, and I'm fortunate to work with 200 other incredible staff that believe that as well. That your school should represent respect and kindness, and if we can put that into the world, we hope that families will take that and bring respect and kindness with them.
Before we go, I want to give the opportunity to talk about the summer's upon us. Are you excited for the summer with regards to programming and the work that you do?
So in the summer, we do run a 6-week summer program, because most of our children are in program 12 months a year. The summer is always for us kind of a time to catch our breath, in that we are really watching these children now who've been with us for a year. It's just amazing to see these 5-year-olds, because they look like young adults to us. They're so big, and they're so ready for kindergarten. It's just a joy to see them. It's also very bittersweet. For some of them, we had them when they were barely 3 years old, and they weren't using words, or they weren't able to sit at circle time and do typical preschool activities. So you really have this bittersweet moment of going, oh my gosh, do you remember when he got to the program, and look at him now? So it's really a great time for us to take stock of the work we've done with children and families. And since 3 to 5 that's all we serve. Every year we get about 150, 160 new children. So in the summer, we are busy getting our program ready for September, because we're always looking forward to meeting our new family that we haven't met yet.
Yeah. Well, want to thank you so much for being with us, Jeanne, and sharing about the work that the Kennedy Children's Center is doing in the community. Of course, as you said, you've got New York City, you've got the Bronx, and places for people to be able to connect. Thank you for the work that's being done and the impact that you're making within our community. Glad to have you with us.
Daren, thank you. I really appreciate the ability to talk about our program because I'm pretty proud of it. So thanks.
Yeah, we are too. And I want to let our viewers know, listen, if you want more information, don't hesitate. Visit the website at kenchild.org. And then also you can visit them on Facebook and Instagram at Kennedy Children's Center. Now we do have more show. Don't want you to go anywhere. Open is continuing coming up right after this.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
And welcome back to the show. Autism Speaks is a research organization that's dedicated to promoting solutions across the spectrum and throughout the lifespan for the needs of individuals with autism, as well as their families. Now, joining us to share more details is Autism Speaks Senior Director of Field Development New York, Nicole Thornton. And Nicole, glad to have you. And thank you for sharing, as we're sharing a lot about autism this month.
Of course, and thanks so much for having me on today and for your interest in learning a little bit more about autism and what we're doing at Autism Speaks to support our community.
Yeah, so as we talk about autism, I think for viewers, let's just get a little background. Of course, I'm familiar, but for somebody who may not be so familiar, how is autism defined?
Sure. So at Autism Speaks, we define autism or autism spectrum disorder as a broad range of conditions that are characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behavior, and speech and nonverbal communication. And we do know through our research at Autism Speaks that there's not one type of autism, but many subtypes. And they're mostly influenced by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. And because autism is a spectrum disorder, each person with autism really has their own distinct set of strengths and often challenges that come along with the diagnosis.
Yeah. So when we talk about autism, for somebody that's at home that may not be so familiar, give me a little bit about the signs. What are some of the signs of autism and what are some of the causes that we're seeing?
Sure. So, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, autism affects estimated 1 in 44 children in the United States and 1 in 45 adults today. We have seen that increase in prevalence that shows, a lot of signs towards progress and awareness and early identification and diagnosis. It really does reiterate the need for increased funding in autism research to really better understand why that prevalence rate continues to increase. In terms of the signs of autism, the most obvious signs do tend to appear by age 2 or 3. And autism can really be reliably diagnosed by 18 months to 2 years of age, though the average age of diagnosis in the United States is actually 4 to 5 years old. So, what that does is delay a lot of the intervention and early treatment that folks and families and individuals can, have access to and take advantage of. So, really important for us to learn those possible signs of autism. And often those do include limited or no eye contact or unusual patterns in eye gaze, so staring off or staring at objects for prolonged periods of time. Limited or severely delayed or no response to a child's name, no use of gestures to communicate, so that pointing, reaching, waving that we see with our little ones starting to develop, if that is absent or pretty limited. Again, little or no back and forth sharing of sounds or smiles or facial expressions for toddlers. little or no babbling by age 12 months, and few to no words by age 16 months. And then, sort of throughout all of this, any loss or speech or social skills at any age, seeing that regression is another sort of telltale sign of autism. And we'd want to prompt parents or a caregiver to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And so your organization is dedicated to helping those and families with autism. For somebody who doesn't know exactly about the organization and some of the services that you provide, please share.
Sure. So, you hit the nail on the head at the top of the interview. With our mission, we really are dedicated to promoting solutions across that entire very broad spectrum of autism and throughout the lifespan. And we're doing this through advocacy and support, increasing understanding and acceptance of people with autism, working to advance the research into causes and better interventions for autism spectrum disorder. And a lot of that we're doing through increasing early childhood screening and timely interventions. Conversely, improving that transition to adulthood to offer services throughout the lifespan for folks and individualized, medical or behavioral interventions. And then ensuring access to reliable information and services throughout that lifespan. So some of the things that we offer at Autism Speaks are, no cost resources or tools across the spectrum, providing grants to local organizations to increase services for people with autism and their families. In addition, we have offer online free access to a nationwide database of service providers. And we're doing a lot around workplace inclusion to support autistic job seekers and employers who want to hire them, and community leaders who want to support those opportunities. So a whole lot being done. I'd be happy to talk a little bit more specifically about any of those.
Yeah. And I know you have an autism response team. I want you to share a little bit with our viewers about that, because I think that's quite impactful.
Of course, yes. And thank you for reminding me. For more than a decade, Autism Speaks has had our autism response team. And this is a helpline that's providing real-time, one-on-one support. You're really supporting thousands of individuals and families with autism from the community each year. They're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in all time zones. And our information line really offers callers tools and resources based on their individual needs or challenges or questions, and offer folks guidance on everything from how to assess whether your child may be on the autism spectrum and what the start of an evaluation process might look like, to what steps to take once you do get that official diagnosis, and beyond that, connecting adults to programs that help provide or find jobs or housing or community supports. They're available via phone, email, and chat on our website. The phone number is really easy to remember. It's 888-AUTISM-2. And we're available in English and Spanish. In addition to that, they're available via email at help.autismspeaks.org. Or anytime via the chat feature on our website, autismspeaks.org. So a whole lot of ways to get to those folks and offer services. And I can give you that direct line. And we have an English and Spanish line, so I'll drop that in here as well. So again, that main line is 888-288-4762 or Autism2. And in Spanish, we have a number of dedicated Spanish language autism response team members. That is 888-772-9050.
Yeah, I know we spent a lot of time this month really not taking care of, but really trying to create an awareness of, really getting viewers and those in the public to become more aware of those who are dealing with autism, families, signs, causes, the whole 9 yards. But talk to me about the awareness perspective. Are we finding that more and more of the population is becoming more aware of the needs of those in the autistic community?
Yeah, so it's definitely a conversation that more and more folks are having. And anecdotally, we hear from our families who feel that there's a better sense of understanding to their loved ones, differences or different abilities. But I think one of the most powerful ways for us to understand, foster understanding and acceptance is to highlight the diversity of the experiences within the autism community. We do a lot of this at Autism Speaks through our social media platforms, through sharing different stories in our websites, and through email campaigns. So each year we're sharing thousands of stories to represent just how broad and diverse the spectrum is. You can find a lot of that on our website. And we're always happy to hear from folks from the autism community who might want to share their story. You were also really proud at Autism Speaks, and I think this is a big way that we're helping to promote that understanding and acceptance of our public service campaign that we have with the Ad Council, and that really has drastically increased autism awareness, by more than 50% to help create a more understanding and inclusive world for individuals with autism.
Yeah. And when we see adults with autism, what can you give us? Are we seeing a rise, or what are we seeing with regards to adults when it comes to autism?
Yep. So we are, like I said, the latest CDC report does estimate that about 1 in 45 adults are diagnosed with autism. We do sometimes hear that parents are being diagnosed alongside their young children, realizing that some of these things ring true to them or to their experience as younger folks. And we've really focused in on improving that transition to adulthood for those who do have an established diagnosis or receiving one, to offer a lot of resources for transition from the school, from school services into community services, to support employment, and to really tap into diversity and inclusion to include the sort of autism and neurodiverse community. I mentioned earlier, we recently launched a Workplace Inclusion Now program, and that's an initiative to build and support inclusive and welcoming workplaces and cultures for autistic job seekers, and help employers understand what it's like to hire and support from this pool of autistic talent.
So for people who really want to find out more information about being connected during this month, what are some of the resources that are available to really connect people?
Sure. So there's always our autism response team, which is really our boots on the ground and the folks who can help provide those resources regularly. April, of course, is World Autism Month. We're just wrapping up right now. We're really encouraging everyone to kind of take a pledge on our website to help create a world where people with autism can reach their full potential, and doing that through that increased understanding and acceptance that we've been talking so much about today. By taking that pledge, you'll be given resources, information, and tools that you can use for yourself, or to advocate in your community and learn more about the mission delivery at Autism Speaks.
Well, Nicole, we got to leave it there, but I want to thank you so much for joining us and being with us today, talking about autism and giving our viewers some awareness as we talk about Autism Awareness Month. Glad to have you.
Of course. Thanks so much. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more. And thank you again for having me on today.
Absolutely. We'll have to have you back. Now, for more information, you can visit the website at autismspeaks.org, and then you can follow them on social media at Autism Speaks. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast on BronxNet's Channel 67. Of course, if you have Verizon Files, that would be Channel 2133, or you can always catch us on the World Wide Web at bronxnet.org. Also, we want to give a very special thank you and a shout out to all of our viewers who are watching on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. If you want a brand new episode of Open, well, this is what you do. You come back on Friday, check out my girl, Rena Valentine. She brings you the best of arts and entertainment. And I'm Daren Jaime. I want to tell you thank you for watching Open. Until next week, we say take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open.